right, this is all about Bitcoin, a show dedicated to all things questions and markets related Bitcoin, little b for the currency, and Bitcoin, big B for the network. A collective journey to understand, apply, and use this innovation, all Bitcoin, all the time. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and joining me right now let's take a look at Bitcoin first. Taking a look at the Coindesk Bitcoin price XBX index, currently trading at $47,779. Bitcoin charging ahead throughout this Friday, now up about 8.5% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the Coindesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data.
The chart of the day is brought to you by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app.
All right, a sneak peek at one of the charts in Coindesk's third quarter research report analyzing the crypto markets. Bitcoin dominance shown in navy blue, the measure of BTC market capitalization compared to the market capitalization of all digital assets, has consistently waned year over year since 2019. ETH has performed well, represented there by the middle bright blue color. And the broad proliferation of new altcoins seen in gray has allowed for market capitalization to grow outside the realm of the, quote, blue chips. See what we did there. That said, BTC losing dominance does not imply that it is losing, especially as it continues to cement itself as a sound money and global monetary network. Waning dominance for Bitcoin more accurately suggests that there is money flowing into other projects with different use cases, as typically occurs during times of optimism in digital assets. Right, and that's according to the Coindesk research team. Though I'll just add that when China's renewed crackdown on crypto sent Bitcoin retreating earlier in the week, DeFi protocols like DYDX and Perp saw huge gains. All right. And so this week we've seen a lot of price activity, a lot of volatility throughout the month of September. And it seems that Bitcoin is taking off. And we are seeing the traditional markets as well are now starting to bounce in the positive side. The new resistance for Bitcoin appears to be around 50,000, support at $47,000, indicating strong demand from short-term buyers. Traditional markets, as I mentioned, are also turning green after initially taking a step back this morning, shaking off that September volatility. And joining me to discuss BTC and Bitcoin news is our Week in Review panel. Coindesk Managing Editor of Technology, Christie Harkin in Toronto. Hello there, Christie. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm the panel.
You're the panel. It's the girls' club right now. Yes, we're hoping to get Damanick Dantes on with us. He may or may not be able to join us later on in the show. He's having a few Wi-Fi difficulties. But Christie, you're my tech expert, and we've got a lot of tech questions for you. So let's start off with, China. We've had continuing fallout from China throughout this week. Taking a review of what's happened over the past several days, the authorities in China's Inner Mongolia province seized about over 10,000 crypto mining rigs from a government-operated tech park, and that's according to global media, who will be global, will stop serving existing users in China by the end of the year. And we had Bobby Leon, who's the co-founder of the first Bitcoin exchange in China, BTCC it was formerly called. He was telling us that over-the-counter trading desks will likely be the next loophole to close in China. And on top of that, Alibaba, they'll stop selling specialized mining equipment on October 8th, they've announced, and at least 18 more crypto platforms and companies are exiting China following a nationwide crypto ban. And just since we're listening up, Bitmain, they're a leading mining manufacturer, of course, and they're going to halt sales in China and move most of their production out of southern China and into other countries. So, I mean, what do you see as the fallout? Are we just going to have no Bitcoin market in China anymore?
That's hard to say if we're going to have no Bitcoin market in China. Bitcoin does manage to flourish in adverse situations. What we can see right now, though, the hash rate, of course, has moved out of China with all of the mining crackdowns. Even the miners now who were sort of surreptitiously turning their machines back on are finding that they're going to get their rigs confiscated. People are looking a little more closely at what's going on in those situations. But it is a situation that has been growing for the last, 6 months. And this is not entirely a surprise to everybody. The miners and other businesses in China, Bitcoin-related businesses in China, have been exiting the country and relocating their hash power. We've talked in recent weeks also about how the North American mining industry is growing. They're benefiting from having seen some of the writing on the wall, but also just recognizing the economic value of setting up the mining industry in North America and elsewhere. So those orders are starting to come online. They've been delivered. People are firing up their rigs, and the hash power is staying steady on a global rate. And that's the important thing, because hash power is the computational power that secures the Bitcoin blockchain. And Bitcoin is still secure.
Well, that's what some experts were telling us earlier on the week, that even without China, there still might be some Chinese citizens who might have a way to operate in China with severe limitations and restrictions. But even without the mass market that China has provided to Bitcoin, it's still in emerging markets, in other countries around the world, there's still more mass adoption throughout the globe. And so much like
it could have been
the world has an internet.
Years ago.
Yeah. I mean, China has an intranet, and they may have a private blockchain, their digital yuan. And much like Apple and Microsoft and tech companies have tried to operate in China with limitations, that might happen in the case of blockchain companies trying to work in China. We did have Damanick, Dantes, just for the slightest moment there. We hope to get back with him to talk about price if he's able to log on back with us. But another topic, of course, is El Salvador. And this has been truly fascinating to watch. Nayib Bukele tweeting today that 2.73 million people already using the Chivo wallet, the government-run wallet there. 180 new users every minute, users, not downloads, and $1 million in remittances being received every day. Hashtag Bitcoin, of course. Now, the population of El Salvador is about 6.5 million. So, earlier we reported about 1/3 of the country is using this Chivo wallet. Now it's approaching half a million. I mean, rather half of the population of the country. So, I mean, tell me a bit about what you know about the Chivo wallet, Christie, because I've also heard that there are some glitches with it. It's not a very straightforward process for everyone.
I think that there are a lot of Bitcoiners who would say that the Chivo wallet is sort of what you get when you have a government stepping in and trying to do the things that private companies can probably do better. I don't know, but there have been glitches, and there are always glitches when you're going to try something new. I think that one of the best takes that I've seen on the situation in El Salvador came from from Michael Casey at Coindesk. He wrote a really fantastic op-ed about how El Salvador is getting things wrong in its approach. And I think that there is hope that perhaps things could be on the upswing. There are like we said, there's over 1/3, approaching a half of the population has an active wallet, not just downloads. that I think also has to be taken with a grain of salt, because is it just that these people are using their wallets in order to access the airdropped Bitcoin, $30 worth of Bitcoin that was airdropped into those wallets? Are they actively using the wallet just to get the Bitcoin out, cash it in for US dollars? There have been long lineups at Bitcoin ATMs, and I don't think it's because people are trying to buy more Bitcoin. They're probably trying to cash it out, as opposed to using it in the circular economy fashion of using their Bitcoin that got airdropped in order to exchange it for goods and services. And those people then exchange it for goods and services, and so on, and creating that sort of internal Bitcoin economy. On the other hand, the notion that there are all these remittances being done with Bitcoin, that is a positive sign, because that is kind of what we were hoping Bitcoin could be used for in a lot of these developing countries. But I think one of the cooler stories actually coming out of El Salvador is more the volcano thing.
Volcanoed.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, come on, volcano Bitcoin, right? But hear me out.
Let's play that.
This is not weird. Honestly, this is not the weirdest thing to actually happen. If you think about it, okay, so geothermal power plants use steam. They use steam to produce electricity. We need electricity to run the mining rigs. And where are you going to get some really great geothermal power? A volcano, for crying out loud. And you don't have people setting up, say, villages necessarily, or big cities on the sides of volcanoes. So as I mentioned before, Bitcoin miners can situate their rigs anywhere in the world, no matter how remote, anywhere that there's an energy source. And there's a whole lot of renewable energy out there: electric power, hydroelectric power, solar, wind, and in this case, volcanoes. And that's what El Salvador has begun to do. What's important to note about these remote locations is that the energy being tapped is being tapped specifically to mine Bitcoin. It can't be used for, say, powering a city, because cities right now are too far away from that source. And remember that energy dissipates as it travels. So setting up a Bitcoin mining center beside a volcano far away from civilian populations is a great way to source not just energy, but Bitcoin revenue. So how does this even work? So by creating geothermal power plants drill down a few miles below the Earth's surface, and using enhanced geothermal systems, use steam to produce electricity. The steam rotates a turbine that activates a generator, and that produces the electricity. So it's not like, lava somehow is magically turned into energy. There's a generator involved. So, and as Michael Casey points out in his op-ed, mining Bitcoin could be a really good way for countries like El Salvador with plentiful stranded volcano energy to generate revenue from renewable energy sources, and then use that money to fund more Bitcoin-focused projects, which would help not just the Bitcoin economy grow, but the entire country's economy grow. And what we're seeing so far—
What happens if the volcano erupts, though?
If the volcano erupts, you'll lose a few rigs, but you're not going to have like a whole population. You're not going to have a whole city getting leveled. You're going to get a few mining farms getting leveled, maybe. And with with enough geological prediction systems, perhaps they'll know that there's something happening and they can load up some rigs on a truck. I don't know, but I mean, it's a chance you take, right? But it's not like it's a whole city.
Or mining a bit Bitcoin, why not?
Yeah, why not? Take a few risks.
Well, looking ahead to next week, Christie, as we look at the price, will this bull run continue on? I can say this, that, within the next 40 days, 6 futures-based Bitcoin ETF applications will receive the first response from the SEC, according to Arcane Research. Of course, SEC Chair Gary Gensler has indicated that he has signaled that he would be privy toward approving something like a Bitcoin futures-based ETF. And if a Bitcoin ETF were to receive approval in the United States, that could generate huge Bitcoin demand from funds and be a catalyst to a rally toward the end of the year. And in general, I'll say that most analysts I've been talking to about Bitcoin are pretty bullish. Several have been giving predictions from 50,000 all the way to 100,000. So, and taking a look at next week is.
We had a really good opinion piece this week from JP Conning called Gary Densler, you should be watching how Canada is regulating things. And
that's right.
We've had lots of ETFs up here in Canada, and it's a different approach in the States, and hopefully in the US.
Yeah.
Everyone will get on board.
Of course, they've been generating a lot of demand for Bitcoin from these funds. Also, we got to wrap it there, but I want to give a shout out to Bitcoin for Advisors. Please join us October 6th for this virtual experience, chance to connect with over 300 investment advisors who are leading the way toward the future of investing. Financial advisors can register for free on our website at coindesk.com/events. Also, Christie, I know you want to plug your third quarter State of Crypto report from the research team. Give us a little preview about that.
Oh, yeah. So on Tuesday, October 5th, Coindesk will be releasing its third quarterly report compiled by the research team of George Kalidas and Teddy Osterben, and it will look at trends and developments regarding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other decentralized finance platforms. We saw the chart at the very beginning of the show that showed the relative Bitcoin dominance. We're also going to look at Lightning and Lightning adoption. We're going to look at not just Bitcoin, but also Ethereum and where it has progressed. And it's a lot of numbers, and it's got a lot of really juicy bits of information. So you'll want to download that on Tuesday.
Really, really good data ahead. All right, Christie, thank you so much. You're a champ. One-on-one, it's the girls team on Coindesk today. Rounding it out. Thank you, Christie.
All right. Have a good weekend.
That was our Coindesk Week in Review panel. Managing Editor of Technology, Christie Harkin. Sorry, Damanick Dantes, our Coindesk markets reporter. We'll hopefully get a hold of you another time. That's it for All About Bitcoin. I'm your host, Christine Lee. We'll do it all over again on Monday at 3 p.m. Also join me Monday morning for 9 a.m. First Move, or your first look at the day's global crypto news headlines. You're watching Coindesk TV.